I'm Martin Webber on a fine July day in 2016, about to hear about the plans to demolish Southborough's existing public buildings and build new ones. Could you just give me your name?
Janice.
And what do you think of the plans for the hub that you've seen in the library today?
Yeah, they look really, really good. I'm really particularly pleased that the Ridgeway fields are not being too encroached upon and that there'll still be lots of land there. And also really good to have seen the plans for the whole area to see how large the surgery is going to be and how the rooms can be rented out as well. So really, really pleased and just can't wait for it to start now.
And the big thing is knocking down the 100-year-old theatre and putting a new one up. Mm-hmm. Do you think the new building is so much better than the old one that justifies the cost?
Absolutely, yes, I do. I think it's going to be great. We need a new start. We need people to stop in Southborough, not just go, oh, that blimmin' A26, it's a nightmare, and too many derelict shops. We just need it all to be brand spanking new and to start from scratch, definitely.
Do you mind just giving me your name?
My name is Glynis Dickinson.
And what you've been looking at these plans.
I have, yes.
What do you think of them?
I think, having lived in Southborough for several years now, I think that area that they've designated for the hub certainly needs some development. My biggest concern is that of the volume of traffic that comes through Southborough and the access roads, which I think are quite inadequate. I'm concerned that they need to sell the land to a developer for residential units or residential homes to fund the whole project. Living where I do,
Where are you?
I live in the Ridgeway, and I'm aware, the volume of traffic there from Yew Tree Road at times the traffic is stacked back from the lights. The man from Jonathan White from the Kent County Council seemed to think that things had improved at this particular junction here at Yew Tree Road, London Road, but in my experience, it's not improved hugely. There's still big tailbacks of traffic in all directions, actually. So that is my biggest concern, and added to which, I'm concerned that there's a huge amount of money being spent on this project, and perhaps local people haven't had enough input as into how it's going to be used. For example, the library and the new Southborough Hall or theatre.
I've just come away with more concerns, really. I was concerned before and now I'm concerned even more after several attempts at questioning. I found out that possibly this area where the library already is, which a lot of people like and don't want moved over there, could be pulled down. As many as 10 houses could be built on here. That's on top of the proposed 69 that's up there. Like the lady before said, everybody's worried about the congestion, the roads, the traffic. The volume of traffic that's coming through Southborough already is enormous, and now they're just going to add to it with a load of houses that none of the locals want, and they're keeping very quiet that there could be another 10 on this area.
Do you think it makes sense to spend lots of money knocking down a theatre and putting a new one up?
No. No. I understand that the theatre they've got now isn't fit for purpose, so they would have to spend money on it if they were to make it fit for purpose and for the theatre groups to use it and for it to be a community hall. I understand the seating, but I don't really see why they couldn't convert it. So no, I don't see why we need a 4-storey monstrosity that doesn't fit in with the landscape plonked in the middle of Southborough.
And what's your name? Sorry, I didn't ask you.
Claire Martin.
Could you just give me your name?
Shane.
Okay, and have you looked at the information about the new hub building?
Yeah, I did have a little chat with the guy in there. Sounds quite exciting. There's a theatre going on. We've only just moved into the area, actually, about maybe a year ago, and that derelict land, I've often noticed derelict land going past on the way out, and so it's quite interesting to see that there's going to be some new developments on it. Move this, get a new cafe in. These things are good for the community. I think there's a lot of work in particular going into this kind of area. There's a lot of work going on down there. It's only building the community up more, especially for younger generations as well, which is really important.
So could you give me your name?
Stephen Lucas.
You've seen the plans in the library today. What do you think of them?
I'm very, very disappointed. I have no objection to the hub. I think the hub's a great idea, but they're selling off the football pitches to build houses on to afford the hub. And where they're looking at building on 2 other football pitches in Tunbridge Wells in order to afford things like the hub. And when you're bringing more children to the community, they're looking at building 69 houses or flats there, you're bringing more children to the area, but you're going to reduce the playing fields of where the children can play. And this is what I have a problem with. If we can afford the hub, we can afford the hub. But if we have to sell off children's facilities and playing fields in order to afford the hub, I think that's what I have a problem with.
Do you use the facilities in the Ridgeway at the moment? Do you use that open space?
My son actually plays there, but the Ridgeway Football Club has actually 600 players. That's a massive amount of players to look. And already Tunbridge Wells Borough Council said they have to, and Southborough Council said they have to reduce the numbers of people playing football because the number of pitches are being taken away. There's just not enough room. And that means about 200 children that play on there every weekend won't have somewhere to play because the fields are completely used on the weekends. So you're talking to about 200 children saying they can't play football anymore because we need to build houses to afford the hub. And I obviously got no problem with the hub, but the new policy of building houses on football pitches to secure money for whatever project, I believe is wrong. I think we should look after the communities. We shouldn't disenfranchise our young people. We've got a lot of new people coming to the area. They need to engage with other children in the area, and sports is one of the ways we can do them. And they'll only end up disenfranchised. There'll be a rise in antisocial behaviour, kids feeling left out and not part of the community. The community is a big part of building houses. When you build houses, you have to try and build a community.
Could you give me your name, do you think?
Ian Skilling.
And have you had a look at the plans for the
Yes,
South?
we looked at the plans. We're very impressed with them. I think it's really what Southborough needs, because the middle of Southborough at the moment looks pretty awful. And the sooner we get this building sorted out, the better.
It's a big project. Does it need to be as radical? I.e., couldn't you just build some new things and build on the existing Victoria Hall?
No, I think wipe the slate completely clean, start again. I don't think it's a good idea to do that.
The Victoria Hall has been a wonderful space for amateur theatre and musical. It was very well equipped for it. It has a raked floor to the stage, which not many halls have. So it's made for acting. There have been many wonderful shows put on there, and they need to replace it with something very similar.
But why knock it down if you still think it works as it is at the moment?
Well, I would have thought that if it was possible to retain it in the plans for the future, I would say do so. But if they're determined to knock it down, they must replace it with something similar.
My name's Maud Sanford.
And how long have you lived in Southborough?
Just on 2 years.
And where did you come from before that?
Erith in Kent.
OK, so why have you moved to Southborough?
To be a bit closer to the family.
OK. And do you like it in Southborough?
No, I don't like Tunbridge Wells at all.
Oh, what's that then?
Well, I don't think you've got any facilities for older people. Mm-hmm. I met up with the library because I couldn't get my telly going. And since then, I've used it regularly. I take at least 8 CDs away with me every time I come. The fact that there be a tea section, perhaps if people sit and have a cup of tea or a coffee, they could get to know one another, which helps in a way, because I think too many older people spend too long on their own. And I don't care who you are, you all need that bit of human contact. And too many hours sitting looking at 4 walls television is no good to anyone.